Let us go with sein, okay? If you want to use the sein to describe the position of the laptop with respect to the table. So you will say der Laptop ist, then you will say beneath, so it is unter, then table is Tisch. Now if you don't use any article, you can just say laptop is unter Tisch, okay, to avoid making a mistake with dative, accusative and nominative, because so but if you decide to use an article, it will be in dative case, okay, and Tisch is masculine. Let's say if I use definite article there, so there will become dem, unter dem Tisch, okay. If I want to, the laptop is over the table, it will be über. On, it will be auf. If I have to say the laptop is next to the box, let's say if this cardboard box, and then I think for the word for that is carton, their carton, so it will be neben. You can just say neben carton if you want to avoid making mistake dative accusative, but if you have to use an article, so it will be them, because dative, okay. Now what you are just doing is that you are describing simply the position of something with respect to something, okay. Quite often someone will ask, where is the laptop, you will just say unter dem Tisch, you don't have to say the entire sentence, right? If you say unter dem Tisch, people will know what you're saying, but if you can be correct, see if you can be correct. All right, now this is the so this is basically what I have written over here. So the subject will be in nominative case. I have told you subject is almost always in nominative case. Then you can use sein, liegen, stehen, hängen. Again, I think for laptop you can use sein and you can use liegen. You can also use stehen, but you have to conjugate it accordingly, right? So conjugate it with respect to the subject. Then you will use one of these Wechselpräpositionen, and then the other object, for example, the table or the box, will be in dative case. Okay. Now, if you want to say between, let's say if I want to describe this one, right? This one, like this is between. I mean, you can say it is next to table, next to the box, or you can say it is between the box and the table, right? So you will say there laptop is. Let's not go with this. Let's go with like line. It is line. Okay, to say is line, you don't have to say is liegt. Okay, because in German you have only one tense, right? That's in English we have like simple continuous and you have simple present. Here you just have one verb. Okay, so either you use sein or liegen. So I will go with the liegen. The laptop is lying between, so I will say zwischen. And now I will have two objects, right? So the Tisch, and I will say un Karton. Right now you can avoid using articles, but let's say if the teacher forces you to use article, so both will be in dative. So their laptop is zwischen dem Tisch und dem Karton. All right. So I hope you understood this, right? So whenever you are describing position of something, okay, there is no movement. You are just basically stating where something is, okay. You are just basically stating where you are answering this question, where something is. Then what comes after these mixed prepositions will be in dative case. I hope that is clear. Now, when will it be accusative? Okay, so I have crossed like here. Also here you will have two objects. So let me just give you a scenario, right? So for example, you come to let's say you come to your kid's room and you see that the laptop is lying. Of course, I believe you will never be talking to your kid in German, like even scenario. But let's say you have to. Okay, so you see the laptop is lying on the floor and you are not happy about it. So you want the laptop to be on the table and not beneath the table on the floor, right? So you want to request or say that, the laptop, so you keep the laptop on the table, right? So you will have to say do. Let's say if you're on do, let's say if you're not on do base, let's say if you want to be more forward, it will be z, right? Then you have to use an appropriate verb, right? So now again, you cannot use sein, right? Because I mean, you keep, so sein will never mean keep, right? So you can use you can use, right? So for example, you can say you hang the picture on the wall. right? So it can still be used. But what about lying and standing? So you cannot use liegen and stehen as it is. You will have to use legen and stellen. Okay. So the verbs change slightly. So the I goes away from liegen and becomes legen, and stehen becomes stellen. Why this is so? That's how it is. The German language accepted. Okay. There is not much to learn over here. So you will say du, stellst. Now you will say laptop. You keep laptop. You will say on. So here it will be auf, right? I hope you know why not on. Auf Tisch. Now, if you want to avoid making mistake with Dativ Akkusativ, you can just say du stellst laptop auf Tisch. But it sounds weird, like this sentence without article sounds weird. Here both will be in accusative, okay? So this one also will be in accusative. This one will be in accusative. So why is this one in accusative? We'll answer later. Why is this one is accusative? After Wechselpräpositionen. So whenever your sentence describes some kind of moment that will happen, right? Or like, for example, you are just like you're saying that please keep the laptop on the table. It means that the laptop is somewhere else. That means the laptop has to be moved to the table, right? This describes a motion. You are not describing simply a position, right? Your sentence implies some kind of motion. Then it will be accusative. Again, if you say du stellst den Laptop auf den Tisch, people will know what you're saying, but your German teacher will deduct your marks. Okay, so here it is accusative. So I hope you could follow. When is it accusative? When is it dative? Right? If you're simply describing the position of an object, it is dative. When I say it means what comes after these prepositions will be dative. If the sentence describes some kind of moment, it will be accusative, right? Also, what you have to remember is that if you're not, so when you're describing simply the position, you can use sein all the time, okay? But if you want to say hanging, it will be hängen, stehen, like standing, liegen, lying. But if you are using, like your sentence implies some kind of motion, you cannot use sein anymore. You cannot use liegen, you cannot use stehen. Hängen you can continue using, but instead of liegen, you will have to use legen, like, it can mean keep, you know. Here, legen and stehen, they both mean keep, okay? This is difficult to believe, but they both literally mean, like if you really have to translate it in English, I think they will mean keep, but it's not a good idea to translate every German word in English. If you just understand, you see that the something is somewhere and you don't like it and you want to move it to some other place, you will have to use legen or stellen. Okay, there can be other verbs, but I think with legen and stellen you can say almost everything you want to say. All right. What? So here, if you notice, in this case, there is only one object, right? So the subject that you are describing, and with respect to the other object that the position is being described, right? With here, again, the subject that is to be moved, right? That is being moved. Okay, you can also describe some, like, some, like, for example, you can say, oh, he's keeping the laptop on the table, right? Or he keeps the laptop on the table. They both. So he is keeping. You're describing a motion that is happening, or he keeps the laptop on the table. You will say, okay, that motion that usually happens, right? So when I come to my office, I take my laptop out of my bag and I keep it on the table. Wenn ich ins Büro komme, ich nehme meinen Laptop aus dem Rucksack raus und ich stelle den auf den Tisch. Okay? So here, so you will have to describe. So here, if you really want, if you're thinking, so what the subject was here, like here the subject was the initial object, right? Whose position was being described. Now this subject comes over here and it becomes the object, right? So here laptop was in the first as the subject. Here the laptop will be the first object, okay? First object, and it will be accusative. And the other object will be also accusative. Now this one is accusative, it's a rule. Why is this one accusative? Again, I can give you a theoretical explanation, but I think you know the trick which I have explained to you at least 3-4 times before. When you are using the verb sein, the subject and the object are nominative. For almost any other verb, the subject will be nominative. Okay. Now the object, whether it is dative or accusative or genative, okay, or nominative. Almost every other verb that you use apart from sein, it will not be nominative. And are there verbs which require the object to be in genative? Yes, but do we need them in daily life? No, you don't need them. Okay. Now you just are left with accusative and dative. I told you to make a list of, I actually have given you, I believe, 35 verbs which require the object to be in dative. So if you know them, it will be dative. But stellen does not happen to be one of these verbs. So you can just assume it to be accusative. Okay, I hope you can follow that. So if you make a list of, so your thinking should go like this: sein, then the object will be nominative. Any other verb. So I think werden also requires it to be. So when werden is used on its own, it also requires the object to be nominative. But any other verb, it will be either dative or accusative. And if that verb is not the part of your dative list, you can assume it to be accusative, the object. All right. So you could follow that. Now here is the conjugation table for the verbs that we discussed. Sein. I think you know this. So ich bin, du bist, er ist, sie ist. Wir sind, ihr seid. Small s sie, capital S sie sind. I hope you know what is small s c. So small s z is they, and capital SZ is you, and you are always being formal, and you can use it to refer to one person or more than one person, right? If you want to refer to just one person and you want to be informal, you can use two. If you want to refer to more than one person and you want to say you and you want to be informal, you can say via. Yeah. That's obvious. Then what about liegen? So it seems like a regular verb. So liege, leaks, leaked, legen, leaked, legen. So if you know, so ich liege, if you know this one, then do leaks if you know this one. Then for RSZ and via, here it is leaked, right? And liegen, liegen for the other ones. Just the infinitive form. Stehen, it's also regular verb. So ich stehe, du stehst. Sie steht, ihr steht, stehen, stehen. Okay. Then hängen, again regular verb. Hänger, hangs, hängt, hängt as well. Hängen, hängen. Okay. Then you have stellen. Again, difference between stellen and stehen, I hope it is obvious. So ich stelle, du stellst, sie stellt, ihr stellt, wir stellen, sie stellen, okay? So in here, ich lege, du legst, sie legt, wir legen, ihr legt, sie legen. So in term, what you just have to remember for ich, you have to remember for du, and for sie and ihr, it is the same. Right? And for via and zz, you don't have to remember that. Like normally you learn the verb in its infinitive form. You just have to know liegen, you have to know legal, you have to know liegen, infinitive form. Then you know for ish it is legal. Then for do it is leaks. Whereas zia it is leaked. And then for every other one it is legal. I hope it is obvious, right? The same way you can learn. Now let's look at some homework that you can do. So I believe when you are watching this video after the session, you'll find yourself in some room, right? It can be your home or it can be your office or some other place. Look around where you are right now. Just look around and see if you can describe the location of each object. Okay. For example, let's say if you're sitting in your office or in your home office, you're sitting on a chair and there is a laptop in front of you which is lying on the table. So I hope you know how to describe the position of the laptop with respect to the table now. But there will also be a cup, right? So how will you say the cup is on? So this, you also notice that there is cup in your room. How do you say the cup is on the table? So you say simply that die Tasse ist auf dem Tisch. Then just look around, what else is lying in your room, okay? And see if you can write a statement for that, okay? Using these Wechselpräpositionen. Then what you can do is that if, okay, like every 2 or 3 months, your organization of the stuff in your place starts bothering us, right? So we like to reorganize. So at this moment, see if you would like to move something from some place to another place, right? Let's say if you don't like that sofa next to the window, if you want to move it somewhere else, see how you can move, right? So if you want to say, you know, uh, we should keep the sofa, let's say, uh, next to this wall. Okay, if you want to say next to this, if you just want to point to some wall, so you'll say via Zollen, Zolten, if you are giving an advice. Sofa is das Sofa. Then you will say neben, next to. I hope you know how to say these, so it will be diesem. Not diesem, it will be diesem because it implies some kind of motion. And wall is actually the one, so it will not be, so it will just be diese one, right? If you want to move. Now, if you have moved the sofa, and if you want to describe the sofa is next to this wall, so das Sofa ist neben the, it will be dative this time, so the one becomes the dative, dieser one. Okay, so here it is dieser, here it is dieser. Okay, I hope it is obvious. Now, of course, you are not talking with your flatmate in German about moving the sofa, but think how often you use these prepositions, right? How often you describe like positions of tables and charts on slides, okay? Or some colleague in your office asks you, hey, where is the, where is this, where is that, okay? A new colleague in the office, where is the printer, right? So you can say the printer is in that room, okay? So, or in this room. The Drucker is in diesem Raum, okay? I hope you get it. So, if you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I hope you could follow. Thank you for listening.